Welcome to macro-scale patterns in Eastern Australia using binary slices of gravity data. This presentation is part of the spatial and temporal distribution of the metal mineralization in Eastern Australia and the relationship of the observed patterns to giant ore deposits. The grayscale gravity image of Eastern Australia. In the following image, any pixel with a value greater than or equal to the designated number is white, and any pixel less than the number is black. This is a binary image. Different slices reveal different information. This binary approach to analyzing geophysical data reveals patterns that cannot be recognized using geological data. This approach to data analysis reveals a northwest-southeast trending parallel linear features and circular features at binary slice 190. Here, one of the circular features is proposed to be the Deniliquin impact site. As well, we have combined the proposed Cape Howe plume and the linear features mentioned previously. In the presentation titled Spatial Patterns in Gold Deposits for Southeastern Australia, evidence was presented showing two scales of nested self-similar patterning. It is now proposed that there is an even larger self-similar pattern. That grander scale pattern can be recognized by analyzing the proposed Deniliquin impact site with the gold deposits in the Lachlan Fold Belt. It is proposed that the Deniliquin impact has acted as an accidental template. The very geometry of the Lachlan Fold Belt is an important clue as to its origin. It is proposed that this 60-degree angle is between two arms of a hexagonal, much more extensive hexagonal radial pattern. Here we are proposing there is a hexagonal pattern from the very southeastern corner of Australia and not proposing that there are gold deposits out in the Tasman Sea. The granites in the Lachlan Fold Belt. The change in trend of the granites reflects the difference in the direction of flow in the underlying mantle. The very southeastern corner of Australia, also known as Cape Howe, is the location of radial tensional stress in the crust. The proposed Cape Howe plume. The western and northwestern radial arms of this plume have created the very geometry, of the Lachlan Fold Belt, determined the spatial distribution of the granitic rocks, and determined the spatial distribution of the gold deposits, while the western and northeastern radial arms of this plume have controlled the very shape of the Australian continent. Australia began to separate from Antarctica 85 million years ago. The separation started slowly at a rate of only a few millimeters a year, accelerating to the present rate of 7 centimeters a year. Australia completely separated from Antarctica about 30 million years ago. The Cape Howe plume is a likely location point for the separation of Australia from Antarctica and other contiguous land masses. The Cape Howe radial pattern and the linear trends. Note that the Cape Howe radial pattern is approximately 2,000 kilometers across, and the distance between the two parallel linear northwest-southeast trends is also approximately 2,000 kilometers across. It is proposed that both the radial pattern and the northwest-southeast linear trends arise from Rayleigh-Benard convection originating at the 1,000 kilometer discontinuity in the mantle, that is, aspect ratio 2. What is envisioned for the mantle is similar to the hexagon roll transition shown here in this liquid crystal. The hexagon roll transition is generated in this case by defects. The same hexagon roll transition can take place in sands that are laid down on hot rocks. The sands convect. The Rayleigh number is the critical factor in this type of hexagon roll transition. Note that there is no change in the wavelength, that is, the scale of the pattern with this transition. The hexagon roll transition can also be created by shear. There is no shear taking place in image 1, upper left-hand corner, so the hexagonal radial pattern is the stable planform. The radial pattern is transformed into a roll pattern as shear is introduced by dragging a sheet of transparent film from left to right across the surface. So there are 3 scales of nested self-similar patterns in the gold deposits of southeastern Australia, that is, 80 230 and 2,000 kilometers in diameter. It is proposed that there were discontinuities in the mantle at 40, 115, and 1,000 kilometers at the time these patterns were imposed on the crust. Each discontinuity in the mantle acts as a base from which a plume or plummet can originate.